Okay, when you think about building stronger bones, what comes to mind? Probably running, jumping, right? All that high impact stuff. You've probably heard it a million times. Pound the pavement to boost your bone density.
Yeah, that's the common wisdom, definitely.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into that. We want to look at how bones actually respond to exercise and, well, maybe debunk the idea that high impact is the only way. We're going to focus specifically on aquatic exercise. But first, maybe just quickly, what is bone density and why should we even care?
Right. So bone density is basically how much mineral content, mostly calcium and phosphorus, you have packed into a given volume of bone. Think of it like how solid the bone structure is, and why care? Well, low density means weaker bones, and weaker bones break much more easily. We're talking about a major risk for fractures, which can lead to serious disability, especially as people get older.
The numbers are pretty staggering, aren't they?
They really are. Something like half of all women over 50, and maybe 1 in 4 men, will experience a fracture because of low bone density. So figuring out how to genuinely strengthen bones, it's vital.
Okay, let's unpack this then. If it's not just about the impact, what's the real mechanism? How does exercise actually tell our bones to get stronger?
Well, it really comes down to the connection between muscle and bone. It's about the pull.
The pull.
Yeah. Your muscles attach to your bones with tendons. That specific spot is called the osteotendinous junction, or OTJ. When a muscle contracts forcefully, the tendon tugs on the bone at that junction. That pull, that mechanical force, is the signal. It tells your body, hey, we need to be stronger here, and stimulates it to draw in more minerals, increasing density.
Huh. So when someone's running, it's not the actual thud of hitting the ground that builds bone. It's the powerful leg muscle contractions caused by running that pull on the bone.
Exactly. You've got it. The impact is part of the activity, sure, but the key stimulus is that muscular pull on the OTJ.
That changes things quite a bit.
It does. And crucially, for this to work, the mechanical load that pull has to be more than what your bones experience in just, normal daily life.
Yeah.
Walking around, sitting down. That's why resistance training is so effective. You build stronger muscles, those stronger muscles pull harder, and the bones respond.
And it has to keep getting harder, right? You mentioned progressive.
Absolutely. Progressive overload is key. If you just do the same workout, the same resistance, day in and day out, your body adapts. The bone strengthening stimulus fades. You need to keep challenging it.
Which also explains the flip side.
Yeah.
If you're sedentary, muscles get weaker, they pull less forcefully, and bones can actually lose density over time.
Precisely. Use it or lose it, essentially.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. If we need high-force progressive resistance, how on earth does something like water exercise deliver that? Water feels gentle, low impact.
Right, that's the common perception.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a misunderstanding of how water works on the body. Yes, the buoyancy cushions your joints, which is fantastic. It makes it safer, especially for people who maybe have joint pain or osteoporosis or are just starting out, less impact stress. But, and this is the important part, water itself provides resistance. Significant resistance. Moving through water is much harder than moving through air because water is viscous. It's dense.
So it's low impact but potentially high resistance.
Exactly. You get this dual benefit.
Yeah.
You're protected from jarring impacts, but you're pushing and pulling against a constantly resisting force. Think about trying to run quickly in waist-deep water versus on land.
Right, much harder in the water.
And that safety aspect is huge. People feel more comfortable trying challenging moves in the water, things like single-leg stands, maybe even small hops or deeper squats, because the fear of falling is greatly reduced. That allows for higher intensity, more forceful muscle contractions.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there specific research backing this up for bone density?
Yeah, there is. The Aquatic Exercise Association, for instance, highlights that simply moving against water resistance creates a demand on the skeletal system. Your muscles have to work harder, increasing tension on the bones, which, as we discussed, is the trigger for strengthening. Even minimal movements can contribute.
And I remember reading about some specific studies, like the PlayCore findings.
Yes, that was quite telling. They compared a group doing aquatic exercise with a control group. The control group showed the typical age-related decline in bone mineral density over the study period. But the aquatic exercise group, they either increased their bone mineral content or, at the very least, maintained their density. They essentially prevented that expected yearly loss.
Wow, so they actively counteracted the decline.
Exactly. It shows that effective loading, that necessary pull on the bones, doesn't strictly require high-impact pounding. And even though the water cushions, any impact you do make with the pool floor still adds a bit of that mechanical loading too.
So let's circle back to our main question then. Does maintaining or building bone density absolutely require high-impact exercise?
Based on the mechanics and the research, the answer is a clear NO. What you need is progressive overload. You need sufficient, gradually increasing force applied by the muscles pulling on the bones at the OTJ.
And aquatic exercise can absolutely deliver that.
Absolutely. It provides a safe, effective way to apply significant progressive resistance.
Okay, so think about this idea of the liquid gym. If progression is the real secret sauce for bone health, here's something to consider. Which environment lets you personally most safely and consistently push yourself to apply more resistance over the long haul? Is it high-impact land exercise with its inherent risks, or is it the supportive, resistant environment of water?
That sustainable progress, that's really where the long-term benefit lies. Finding what you can stick with and safely intensify. Well, this has been really insightful. Thanks for sharing these sources and letting us take this deep dive into sweat aquatic fitness. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.